Arjun. Talk to you about Superconductor today. A little bit about me. I've been using Ruby on Rails since 2007. I actually learned from Obi's book, the first version of it. Got my PhD from Berkeley in robotics and AI. And during that, also started an edtech company called Gradescope, where we used AI to grade students' work. Also a Ruby on Rails company. And that got acquired in 2018. And I'm going to tell you why we started Superconductor first. So like a lot of you, started using Claude Code when it came out in February and loved it immediately, found it really useful. But what happens is you have a task and you start it up, and then you sit there and you wait, and you're just kind of watching it. And that gets really boring, so you kind of go and waste some time doing something else. And the one thing that's nice is it kind of brought this to Rubyists that don't have to wait for code compile, right? Instead of compiling, you're actually just sitting there waiting for Claude. ChatGPT edited the comic for me there. But I don't want to sit there and wait for Claude. I actually want to get more work done. And so we tried to do a pretty crazy thing where I set up tmux, and I had 5 different Git work trees with their own Docker environments, and I'm kind of flipping between different tmux windows with their own tasks. And it worked, but it was like a huge nightmare to manage, right? And not only is it kind of a pain to manage all these work trees and figuring out which Claude is doing what, I have 5 of them going, and 2 of them are doing a great job, and 3 of them are going off the rails. And getting them back on the rails is also a lot of work. And that's not a pattern that we've noticed. It's actually something that Anthropic says directly. They call Claude Code a slot machine. This is from their guide of how Anthropic teams use Claude Code. So it's treated like a slot machine. Starting over often has a higher success rate than trying to fix Claude's mistakes. And that really resonated with me because that's my experience, but also I grew up in Las Vegas. The thing that took me the longest in my presentation was finding the perfect slot machine for this talk. Apparently there's one called Wild Ruby Gems, so yeah. But what we really wanted was we want to work from anywhere, untethered from our laptop. We want Claude and other agents to keep working, even if our laptop's closed. So from a browser, from mobile app, from Slack, from GitHub. We want each agent to have a dedicated development environment. It needs to be able to run your app, run your tests, use the browser, and work safely in YOLO or skip permissions dangerously mode. Which agent is the best changes every week or month or whatever. So we use Codex and Claude Code and Gemini now that Gemini 3 came out in AMP. And the most important thing is we want to be able to review the agent's work quickly. And so I'm going to show you exactly how we do that, but you want to see the code diff, screenshots of the work, and ideally a live running app with the agent's changes in it. So what we built is Superconductor to do all that. That's what it looks like. This is my project. We use Superconductor to build Superconductor. I have a list of tickets. I can make a new ticket. So here I made one to add the fact that we're sponsoring this conference to our homepage. And I don't want to look at the schedule, so I said, you figure out what time I'm demoing and put it on my homepage. And then I launch one or more agents. You get to pick how many. In this case, I launched one Sonnet and a couple of Geminis. And you can sit there and you can watch each agent work just like you could in your terminal. This is just Claude Code, but we put a nice web UI around it. It's running in the cloud, though, not on your laptop. You can watch it work, but that's not usually what we do. We usually will go start other tasks so you can get more stuff done. So I'm going to switch over and show you how we use it from our phone. So I'm going to mirror my phone here. So this is our mobile app, which is written with Hotwire Native. And this is that same ticket we were working on earlier, that let's add the SF Ruby sponsorship and demo time to our homepage. And it launched multiple agents. And I said earlier that we thought it was really important to be able to review the agent's work quickly. So we make it so the agent can send you a screenshot of its work. So here, this Sonnet made this view. This one's okay. It's kind of hard to read. So let's go to the next one. It's kind of nice little badge style. This is actually the one we merged. And you're going to go through and look at all of them. I can expand all of the artifacts each one made. But the really cool thing is you can also click in and click App Preview. And now I am using the running Rails app in the cloud for each instance of each agent. And so here, this is that first one I showed you. And actually it looks better in dark mode, which is nice, but in light mode it wasn't so great. This is the other one. Those are both Sonnet, by the way, so it's the same model, same agent, being two very different versions. Haiku, not so good. AMP looks really similar, but it uses a diamond, which is a little weird, and it has the wrong date, because demo's the 20th today, not yesterday. And open code with GLM is not so great with Slim, so syntax errors didn't do so well. So you can see how kind of running the same task on multiple agents gives you very different results, and even the same agent will give you pretty different results. Now, I could have specified it more. I could have asked my designer, give me a mock-up, give the mock-up to Claude Code, but this took me 2 seconds, whereas that would have taken some back and forth and would have eaten up some of his time. So that's how Superconductor works in the mobile app and how you can use it to review some of the changes really easily. I'm going to switch back to my laptop here. And I'm going to show you a couple other ways that we use Superconductor. So one that I mentioned is the Slack integration. So in Slack, people love to have ideas, complaints, things that aren't working. They can just drop a note in. Other teammates can engage with it. And when you decide you want it to work on it, you just say, hey, add Superconductor, do this, or give more context. When it's done, it'll respond. You can click in to the Superconductor conversation, and now you're in that Claude Code or Codex or whatever conversation, and you can chat with it. You can make a pull request, you can merge it, you can see the preview, see the diff, and then when it's merged, it'll mark it merged here, and it'll check it off, so people know that this thing is resolved in Slack. The other kind of really cool integration we have is with GitHub. So here I had a task, which was to add GPT 5.1 support that came out a couple days ago, because right now, if you hit launch with Codex, you only see GPT 5. And so I made this ticket. It did some work. I had a little bit of feedback for it. I eventually made a pull request. So let's go to the pull request here. So, there's some comments. I asked Ibrahim to review it for me. And then he came and reviewed it, and he actually told Superconductor to make some changes to my pull request. And if you go down that conversation, you'll see his comments from GitHub in my conversation with Claude Code. So you can have one conversation with the same agent that spans Superconductor, Slack, and GitHub with all the same shared context. And from GitHub, if I click on, hey, where'd this comment come from, I'll get taken right back. So everything's kind of linked together really nicely, too. Kind of see where things came from. So it's really trying to integrate that kind of development and review experience really, really nicely. So one thing I mentioned was that we like to use all the agents. We like to see who's best for us today. Every day or every week, another agent comes out, and there's like, should I try Cursor CLI? Should I try Factory? Should I try this thing? There's a ton of work in that, right? Like, is it even worth me testing it out? Like you saw GLM, it just totally failed on my app. So one thing that we're doing to make it really easy for you is if you set things up with Superconductor once, you can give us a few pull requests that are good examples of code that you like, and we'll generate a ticket from those pull requests and run every single agent on every single pull request, and then judge the output of those agents and generate a benchmark for your code base. So Gemini 3 just came out, and actually it turns out it's pretty good, right? It's currently winning on quality. It's a little expensive, so you can have the trade-off there. And you can see that Qwen 3 Coder is actually also pretty good and way cheaper. So maybe on some simple tasks, I'll use Qwen 3 to save some money and time, and for the more complex stuff, I can use Gemini. In the future, we'll use these benchmarks to automatically pick the best agent for the right task for your code base. One thing that is important to know is all of the model providers, all of the, the kind of agent providers, they benchmark with Terminal Bench or SweBench, and SweBench is all Python. It's correlated with performance on Ruby. It's correlated with the stuff you're seeing here, but it's not touching Ruby at all. It's all Python. And so having the ability to kind of have your own benchmark on your code base is pretty helpful. And one last thing I'll say is, if you haven't gotten into this habit of using agents in this way, you really should try it out, because you can have it in 1 or 2 shots, do some pretty impressive stuff. We haven't released this publicly yet, but I asked Superconductor to make me a desktop app, figure out if we should use Tori or Electron, and it one-shot it. Like, it worked for 15 minutes, and it came back, And I had a running Tori app that worked with Superconductor, and then I went and made some changes too. So it's really impressive. It's worth kind of diving into. So let's go back here. So just kind of recap, we give each agent a dedicated development environment in the cloud. We want to make you able to work from everywhere, browser, mobile app, Slack, GitHub. We want to be able to unblock your agents from your phone really quickly so they're able to keep working. And we prioritize developer happiness, just like Ruby, over everything else. So make it as easy as possible to review their work as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. You can sign up at superconductor.dev and feel free to email me at arjun@superconductor.dev.